Sharon. Sharon should be coming in soon, right? Is that the deal, Karen?
She's supposed to.
Okay. Well, good. All
She
right.
was just on the phone with Cher, so
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah.
Well, good. Well, I hope that that's the truth. Hope that she comes
Where is
along.
Cher? I sent her the link 10 minutes ago.
Well, all right. So we are live on Zoom and we're here for um, finding our inner teacher, finding our inner guide. And how about Karen, you want me to play a song while we're waiting? Let's see if I can find a
You
music.
muted, Karen.
Oh, anything is fine. And I was thinking about the Amazing song, but anything is fine.
Oh, sure. I've got that right queued up. Isn't that just the greatest song ever?
Oh, I've been
Uh,
listening to it so much. I just love it.
It
I've
is.
been sharing it with so many people too.
It's so beautiful. And it's all, we are one and it just so sweet. Okay, so advanced computer sound. Wait, inner audio, share, and let's see if it works.
I feel sweet, do you feel sweet? It's amazing. I have no skin and I feel everything. It's amazing. I feel good when you feel good. I knew I would. It's amazing. I've wanted this for so long. Now the deed has been done. We shall rise with the sun. Spend our time as one. Now there is no sin in anything. It's amazing. I love everything, it's all amazing. I feel new, do you feel new? I understand when they say we're born again, 'cause I've been born again. I'm born again, and it's amazing. It's a blessing, it's glorious, it's life-changing. This feeling is amazing. It's a blessing. It's glorious. It's life-changing. This feeling.
All right. Wow. That was beautiful. It's in the stars, it's in the sun, it's everywhere and everyone. And we are amazing. So let's see here. Um, I don't see Sharon yet. So what do you want to do, Karen? Just go ahead and
Um,
watch the video.
Should I
is she
text her?
supposed? Yeah, yeah, text her, please, Glorian. I mean, we could, did Dove say she was on the phone with someone?
He said she was on the phone with Miss Cher. So that
Oh,
I'll call her. I'll call
boy, that song puts you in another ozone.
it does, doesn't it?
Oh my God, it's so good.
It
I
is.
never heard of them before. That was the first when you played that song on Thursday. I just loved it.
It's so funny. Somebody brought us that song a long time ago. I think when we were still with Awakening Together.
She's
And
coming in now.
oh, good. And man, I just fell in love with it too. And that's what Nicole remembered that from a long time ago. So I had it on my plate. It's still in my computer. So there she is. Hi, my dear. All right.
I'm actually starting to feel better.
Yay.
Let's just hope. Is Gloria in here? Oh, she is here. Yeah.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, who is on iPhone?
I'm here. I think it could be Cher because I was talking to Cher and she was she was taking a shower. I don't know. Could it be her or Vivian? I don't know.
Is that Miss Cher? That'd be lovely if it is. Hello. All
I'm
right.
here,
very
Sharon.
good.
You need me? I'm here. Sharon.
Okay. All right. So tonight we're going to show this. I think the discussion that we had today was, Zuma and Regis aren't here, but Karen and I, Myrna wasn't there either. Who else was there today? Regis is here. He's over here.
Oh, good.
I was there.
Regis, you're so handsome with that beard. You really are. How old are you? 62 or 52?
Just two. He said two. He's not telling his age. I get that. I get that. I'm
He
gonna tell
doesn't
him
tell his
either.
age.
He doesn't tell
that's
his
fun.
age.
No.
You just have to guess. So, and I see Lindy is here. Lindy, I got your message that you were not going to be on tonight. So, Sharon and Karen are going to be doing a thing, and I hope then that's okay with you. Good. All right. So, all
Who
right.
are you
So,
talking to? Lindy was going to do, because
Yeah.
anybody can. I'm not doing this tonight. This is about all of us. I'm not.
okay. So we're not
interested in-
doing the video, the Ken Wapnick video.
Yeah, we're just going to look at that because Karen sent it to me because it's something that now our group doesn't do this, but I just wanted to bring it up just so it's what Regis
we-
shares all the time. It's like really the fact that, of course, people can be crazy, really crazy. I mean, it makes people nutty. Not that they're not already, they're egos. I don't know what I was expecting, right?
I don't know either. So it's up to you. It's your mic, you guys. You're
Yeah, we're one. Who has that tape? Do Ken want?
I have it. You want me to play it? That was
Yeah, I do because I want. When Karen sent it to me, it just summed up some of the things I was trying to say all these months about meeting people where they are. Because when you read A Course in Miracles, if you have like 20 years over somebody, they're going to be more seasoned. And so what Ken had to deal with a lot was that people weren't normal. They all of a sudden became like these sages. And that was something that I think he tried to bring home. He would always say, just be normal. Like people would go to the hospital and say, like some of his students would say to people that were in their hospital beds, why don't you, don't stay in the hospital bed. You're not really there. Things like that. And that's just,
yeah, I
that's
understand.
just the ego being sick.
It's so easy to do that when you don't know. And
It
it's
is
just
easy to do that. Yeah.
complete ignorance. So, all right.
It's
So
easy to do that because this whole fit teaching is like confusing for most people. Maybe
all right.
me.
So we
Okay.
have this on here, using non-dualism as a defense.
Okay.
In Wapnick. Let me move this. There we go.
I think my concern, it's like really getting it clear what the implications of the metaphysics of the Course are. Its main argument that truth has no opposite, and this whole idea of helping the world. And it's that idea, at least in the East, that there is no world, and if you serve it, that you're making Maya real, you're making the illusion real, you're making the world real by helping it. So they disassociated out and became monastics and had mystical experience. Whereas that really wasn't the teaching there either. It was more in the Bhagavad Gita, engagement in working in the world. You're loving God through that action, through doing those things, and through not attached action. Isn't the Course like that too?
Yes,
And isn't there danger in the Course?
Well, the danger in any non-dualism is that people will then use it as a defense against dealing with their ego. And I think that's certainly very, very true with the Course. I think that's where, that's probably one of the areas, probably one of the most important areas where students have really gotten off. Because they will use the idea that the world's an illusion as a way not to deal with the world. And the crux of the Course, as we've seen, is against the backdrop of the illusory nature of the world. That we don't deny what goes on here, we just deny the ego's interpretation of what goes on here. And the idea, you know, one of the things I used to always like to emphasize when I would tell the story of Helen and Bill is that the Course did not come to some holy nun in a convent someplace, you know, in the middle of nowhere. It came to two psychologists that were locked in a bitter struggle with each other, with a bitter struggle with everybody else in a medical center. That's probably the greatest symbol of the ego's hateful thought system in a city that is probably the world's greatest symbol of greed and competition and specialness and hate. That's where the Course had its birth. That was the manger that the Course was born into. And I think that there is an important message in that. And Helen and Bill, at the time that Helen was taking down this Course, were the busiest that they were in all their years at the medical center. They were so busy. And somehow they had to fit the Course into their very busy schedule. It did not come at a time when they had nothing to do, and they could devote all their time to this. It came when they were very busy, and they were very busy dealing with issues and writing grants and editing journals, writing papers and dealing with each other. You know, so I think that that's always helpful to understand. Again, everybody's life is different, and everybody's limitations are different, and everybody's highway is different. And so some people may be asked and may be guided to be not in the world. But I think those would be very, very rare. I think in general, this is meant for people not to do anything different except to forgive. You know, another thing I always like to emphasize, this Course was never meant to be a religion, never meant to be a church, certainly not meant to be a cult. It is only meant to be a spiritual path for individuals. That's why there is nothing in this book about groups. Nothing in this group about groups. Nothing in this Course about formal teaching. Nothing. It's all about the relationship you develop with the Holy Spirit, to which you bring all of your special relationships. This is meant to be done by individuals as an individual path. It is not meant to be a religion. It is not meant on the level of form to consume your life. You are meant to live, in general, with very, very few exceptions. You live your life after the Course the way you did before the Course, in form. The difference is you do it with a different teacher and you do it with a different purpose. But you look like everybody else. You don't leave your family, you don't leave your job, you don't go to a desert halfway around the world so you can meditate all the time. Again, that would be very, very rare. This is meant, again, to be a path, individual spiritual study path. That's what it is. It's not meant to make people different. It's not meant to have Course in Miracles groups form that then become oppositional to other Course in Miracles groups or non-Course in Miracles groups or anything like that. You're not asked to give up your friends, your families, or anything, your interests. Nothing should change on the level of form. Right? One of the awful things that Course in Miracles do, which leads me so often to say they're the worst group on the face of the earth, right, is because they pretend to be so holy and so spiritual and so metaphysically correct, which is no different from being politically correct, right, that they stop being human. And they stop being normal, and they stop speaking the language of other people. So these are the ones, and I'm sure many of you know them, who go to funerals with a big smile on their face. You know, with bright, sunny, radiant clothes, you know, with a bottle of champagne because they're celebrating nothing. Nothing happened. Well, everybody is weeping and wailing and gnashing their teeth and rending their clothes, all right, and they're smiling and happy because metaphysically they know nothing happened. They're not speaking the language of the people that they are purporting to love and to help. And they're pretending they've transcended all their limitations when it's obvious if you act like that you haven't transcended anything. Right? That's just one example. There are unfortunately many, many more like that. You know, that's what has led me to say many times, when you're in trouble, the last person you should ever call is a Course in Miracles student, because you'll get a lecture. You won't get help. You won't get driven to the emergency room, but your appendix is bursting. You know, you got lesson 136 thrown in your face. Sickness is defense against the truth. All right. It's funny, except unfortunately, it's true. All right, Ms. Dixie.
The end of the story about the Plato's cave, didn't one of the prisoners go out into the light and choose to go back in and tell the others that this isn't real, and they didn't want to go out?
That's right.
So it's fear that's keeping our limitations.
Yeah, one of the prisoners who is Socrates, it doesn't say that, but that's clearly who it is. One of the prisoners becomes freed. And turns around and realizes what's going on, starts walking up and actually makes his way up into the light, into the road, and sees what the reality is, and then goes back to present his fellow prisoners with the happy news. You know, they did not see it as very happy, and they rose up against him and killed him. Right? Which of course is what happened to Socrates, who was Plato's beloved teacher. And the point of that was Plato saying the world doesn't want to wake up. The world doesn't want to learn the difference between appearance and reality. You know? And when a prisoner comes to point you to the light, he'll be killed. All right? So that the Jesus myth is the same story. And you find it in many other religions and spiritualities. That people would rather murder the messenger of love and light and truth rather than accept that message. And so that was, yes, that's how the allegory ends. And other times when I've presented the whole story, try to
End of the story about the Plato's cave.
Yeah, one of the prisoners who was Socrates, it doesn't say that, but against him and killed him. Right? Which of course is what happened to Socrates, who was Plato's beloved teacher. And the point of that was Plato saying the world doesn't want to wake up. The world doesn't want to learn the difference between appearance and reality. You know? And when a prisoner comes to point you to the light, he'll be killed. All right? So that the Jesus myth is the same story. And you find it in many other religions and spiritualities. That people would rather murder the messenger of love and light and truth rather than accept that message. And so that was, yes, that's how the allegory ends. And other times when I've presented the whole story, it's a way of really talking about people's resistance, people's fear of the truth. And that's the fear of losing this self. So when I said a moment ago that everybody's motivated by the preservation of self, that's what forces us to then try to destroy, whether we do it physically or we do it psychologically, try to destroy a message that will tell us something else. Right? So Jesus is not around anymore to kill, but his message is. So people will try to change the message, not because they're bad or evil, they just like being shadows. like everybody else. I don't want to be told I don't exist. I want a spiritual teaching. I want a spiritual teacher who will teach me that I exist, not very happily, but I can make my existence better. And that's basically is what most religions and spiritual systems do. Certainly not all of them, but most of them do. And certainly the more popular ones do. That's why they're popular. We get to have our ego's cake and eat it too. I get to keep my individual existence, but now I think I'm spiritual and holy. Again, what makes this course so difficult, really difficult, is because at some point you begin to understand what it's saying. Jesus is not telling you to be a happier shadow and how to relate to other shadows. People think forgiveness is one shadow forgiving another shadow. I mean, that makes no sense. This is not about living better or more happily or more peacefully in the dream. That's not what he means by happy dreams. Happy dreams are forgiveness, nothing to do with this world. So this is not about feeling better as a shadow and living better as a shadow and more happily and healthily and wealthily as a shadow. It's about realizing what the shadow is keeping you from. The shadow is keeping you from love, from the light.
All right, there we go. Wow, what a great video. And so yeah, Karen and Sharon, who is that on iPhone? Can you just say what your name is?
I think it's Miss Cher.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know if why she's not, because she would normally like text me or something. I don't know.
Is that Miss
Yes,
Cher?
it's Cher. Okay, maybe she can't type.
Oh,
Okay,
All
very
right.
good.
Yeah, she's busy with something while she's listening. Okay.
okay.
Welcome.
Very good. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, welcome, Miss Sharon.
Welcome. Well, all right. So this tonight is really, it's a group. I don't want to be just talking. I want to just engage in this group. What happened was I was like sharing for the last couple months about things that don't bother me anymore. And I was seeing the past, but it was just even on Facebook. And what I was seeing is that when the ego is there in this mind, it's going to try to find drama because it's addicted to it. It can't not be addicted to it. So when I think that I am Sharon, I'm going to be addicted to finding out what Course in Miracles student doesn't like Ken Wapnick, or what Course in Miracles students thinks they're great, that kind of crap, right? That's what we do. I mean, that's because that's the ego. And what sometimes the confusion is, I think for all of us, I'll say me too, that people will beat each other up with this book. This book is just that. It's a book. Life is living through us. The being is in us. So for years, I've heard, just go within, go within. And, I keep over the years looking at different teachers. Everybody knows more than me. And what I'm learning is all along, nobody's taught me but my inner teacher. And that's what I got in the last 6 months. And I walked away from different groups that had teachers, and they were good for that time. But the reason that Gather has always been like the best place for me is they don't take it seriously. That's the whole course. You take this seriously, you're in the ego. You can't not be, because you can't make this happen. The thing that we do is we follow what the course is saying to the best in that moment. But every moment can bring on different lessons. So, what I would do is I used to cry a lot. I was going through a lot, and I would be so ashamed that happened. But that's a natural thing for an ego that has a child that's sick. So what I'm trying to bring out here is, are we aware of the fact when we are sharing or teaching? I'm not a teacher of the course at all, but are we aware that other people don't feel the same way as we do? So if I throw a platitude at them when they're crying, is that really helpful? Lynn, you go ahead, because I want to hear what you have to say.
All right, thank you so much, Sharon. And yeah, well, I think the problem is that if we really believed what this course was saying, we would be nothing but compassion and loving to people. If we really believe what this course is saying, if we are just trying to understand it, trying to get it, trying to make it the focus of our life and the way that we think and the way that we see things, then we're going to be pretending a lot to be that thing, that person who knows. And you know, you pretend you're that person who knows until you are that person who knows. Basically, because you begin to learn more and more about the reality of what's going on. The when people are experiencing emotions, feelings, feelings are the indicators really of what it is that's going on in our mind. And so if we discount people's feelings or act like the way people are feeling is um, uh, unworthy or juvenile or not according with the course or whatever, then we're discounting the the inner core of that person, the thing that that person is expressing in just pure purity, innocence. Our feelings are innocent. They indicate our innocence. And so when we vilify feelings or make it seem like, the feeling is what is making you weak, we're completely negating the reality, the truth of what the person is. You have to accept the person's feelings. You have to see that it's the mirror to their soul, that it's showing you their deepest beliefs and thoughts and ideas. When someone, I feel so blessed when someone shares their feelings with me, because to me, that is like experiencing the inner core of the heart of the person in a way that's very intimate and very loving. And such a blessing and such a it's almost like uh you trust me. You trust me enough to cry in front of me. You trust me enough to break down in front of me. And you know that I'm not going to reject you. To me, that knowing those feelings with another person or sharing those feelings with another person is the most intimate thing that you can do with another human. So I appreciate you, Sharon, and anybody, that's it's such a gift, and I'm so grateful.
Well, what I realized with you, Lynn, and I saw this, I'm also very sensitive when people exclude people. Because for all one, I mean, and so there were times that I was with Lynn and I felt a little like I'm protective over people, is what I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to tell the story. So, because it's just my nature, but it's not like I'm not an ego. I have a vicious ego like everyone else. But what I do have a lot of is empathy. I just always did. And I think we're born with that. So when I see people hurting, I don't want anyone to feel shame, because that's really the core wound that I always had, shame. I think most of us have shame. I think we think it's fear, but it's really like if they really knew how horrible I was, they would, it's God, annihilate us, that kind of thing. And it goes with even being in this world. We're not better than anyone in this meeting. This is a meeting where we're joining from the heart. And to be invulnerable is to be vulnerable. That's how I see this. Myrna, go ahead, honey.
Thank you, Sharon. I love what you just shared. Yes. And Lynn, yes, I agree with everything that you said. I learned something from Ken Wapnick a long time ago, and I always use that thought that it doesn't matter what you say as long as you say without judgment. And I've learned to now know the difference between my ego and judgment. or the ego is judgment. But if you're speaking without judgment, then the ego steps aside, and what's coming out is you'll automatically say the right thing. Everything comes out correct when it's without judging the other person. And Ken Wapnick said just that, and I always, hung on to that feeling, that thought, when I want to say something to someone. Helen Schuckman once asked Ken Wapnick, what should I say? And in fact, Ken Wapnick said that was the answer that Jesus gave Helen. Just say it without judgment, and you'll automatically say the right thing. So that's what I wanted to share.
That was so beautiful, Myrna. I can't tell you. That is such a great, because we can't hear that enough. Because I feel like, sometimes I'm loving, and what I need to say to the person is, do you want a suggestion, rather than tell them what I think they should do? Because I do fall short, especially with my younger siblings. Like, I think sometimes that I might know something more. And that was beautiful. That's something that I'll take with me tonight. Thank you.
That takes practice too.
It does. And I could fall down. Right. I know.
You want to let the ego go, but then again, you understand that, wait a minute, now there's another part of me that knows better. Right. And the practice does get you better at it.
Yeah, that was so helpful.
That was beautifully said, Sharon. Thank you.
Okay. And Regis, how about you?
Hello.
And handsome dude. I like to
Thank you, Sharon. And,
I'm just old, so I can say that. Go ahead.
And thank you for this continuation of
today.
What we've been talking about all day. Yeah. And Kim Wapnick said it just as eloquently as it was said earlier today. So I want to start off by saying what I read earlier today. Forget not that the motivation of this course is the attainment and the keeping of the state of peace. That's the motivation, not for us to remember it and be able to recite it to other people. The motivation of this course is the attainment and the keeping of the state of peace. Given this state, the mind is quiet. So we're trying to just the course just wants us to find our way to a quiet mind. And we know that the mind just go. As Eckhart Tolle used to say, the mind is just going. So it's the attainment and the keeping of the state of peace. Given this state, the mind is quiet, and the condition in which God is the mind is quiet, and the condition in which God is remembered is attained. I'm trying to remember God. The course wants us to get quiet enough to remember I am God, to remember I am one with God, to remember God. Okay, that being said, the name of this session on Tuesday is Finding Your Inner Guide. The Course in Miracles is not my inner guide. If we remembered that, we wouldn't beat people up with it. We wouldn't beat ourselves up. The Course in Miracles is not my inner guide. God is my inner guide. The Holy Spirit is my inner guide. So that being said, just yesterday, someone, and you have to beg me for advice. I mean, you can ask me for advice, and then I'll make you beg me for it before I give you it. So this young lady came to me, whom's her mother died with cancer. She was her mother's caretaker until her mother died. Her mother sister abused her the whole time she took care of her mother, even though her mother and sister wasn't helping taking care of her mother. She had all the feedback that nobody wanted. So she accused this girl of basically killing her mother, that you just didn't take good care of my sister and all of this crap, So that was probably, I think she told me 7 years ago when her mother passed, and this aunt just beat her in the ground verbally. And so, a recent situation came up, and her brother was like, telling her, well, you need to try to talk to your aunt and y'all need to patch things up and forgive and all this stuff. So she came to me and asked me, you know, what should she do, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, I can tell you some things, but it probably won't be what anybody else has said to you. It's gonna be way different. I'm like, you sure you want me to tell you? You know, so I didn't need the course. I didn't need the Bible. I didn't need any references to what forgiveness was and forgiveness wasn't. I said, why do you have to befriend your abuser? If you had a husband that beat you for 7 years, any female in this room, he beat you and put you through a living hell before you divorced him, why would I say you need to go have dinner with him? And if you don't, you're not showing forgiveness. Why would I say that to you? You know, so why would I tell this girl, yeah, your brother's right. You need to forgive her and y'all need to patch things up. I told her, you don't have to be bothered with her if you don't want to be bothered with her. No, screw her. You know, it's like, I hope she got some friends, you know, that will console her. But right now, this lady is talking to me and she's torn, you know, and this lady abused her to no end. Anytime you tell a person you killed your mother, that's just as abuse as being beat in the head with a hammer, you know. And so it's like you don't have to communicate with her. You don't have to call her. You don't have to talk to her. You don't have to answer her phone call if you don't want to. This is what my inner guide that was showing this lady who was talking to me compassion and empathy to what she was feeling, not to try to put her on a guilt trip about forgiveness and start quoting the Bible, the Course in Miracles, and what this guru said and what that guru said. So, as Ken Wapnick was saying, speak the language of the bodies that you're in communication with. We're not being spiritual by trying to be spiritual. We're being, and that's what Kenneth Wapnick was basically saying. Every time you try to be spiritual, you're just showing that you still caught up in your spiritual ego. Every time you try to come up with some clever stuff to say, you're just showing how deeply entangled you are with your own ego. Because as I said today, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. Everything I do is spiritual. I am love. I can't be anything but love. I'm not a human being every now and then trying to have a spiritual encounter. I am a spiritual being, and all I have to do is find my inner guide. That inner guide don't have to be the voice of A Course in Miracles. It don't have to be the voice of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. It don't have to be the voice of the Buddha. It don't have to be the voice of Ken Wapnick. It don't have to be the voice of Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, or anybody else. All I have to do is find my inner guide and speak the truth in love. That's all.
It's so beautiful. Regis, this is the whole course. It's not about a book. It's about living it. It's about meeting people. This woman, if you had said, you're telling an ego to forgive. First off, God forgives. When we do forgiveness, it happens just by practicing asking your inner teacher and keep handing it over, or it just happens. So what you did for her was you were God. You were God. That's, years ago, I asked the Holy Spirit, how will I know it's you? Now, I didn't do this, and I'm going to be honest with all of you. I never did this. And I heard the voice within say, what would God do? What would God say? Now, I had no confidence in this character, so I went to all the teachers to see what they said rather than what was coming from me. And that's just what happens to a lot of us, depending on what, how the learning is going to, remember, this is all lessons that God would have us learn. So obviously, God knew I had a learning disability. So I'm trying to make you laugh. But anyway, Maybe I'm not funny, but it took me a while to get. Ask the inner teacher. It's so darn simple. We know what love is. True empathy is when you look at your brother and see him as invulnerable. But first, your brother's going to be vulnerable. You're not going to be invulnerable. Anyway, we have Karen and Myrna, and then of course, Karen was you're going to take over now because I'm going to, just listen. Anyway, Myrna, you take the mic.
Yeah, I wanted to say something. Every now and then, an affirmation comes to mind, and I'll say it, or I'll hold on to it. And I heard one the other day with Zulma who said it, and I got to say, if I had a tattoo on my chest, okay, I mean, I really want to hang on to that. And she said, "Don't tell God how big your problems are. Tell your problems how big God is." And that is something that, I say that now, and that's something you can tell anybody that would understand it. It's not coarse material, but it's so true, it really, when somebody's complaining, crying, don't tell God how big your problems are, tell your problems how big God is. And that goes a long way. I just had to share that because it's something that I kept, in close vicinity, so that I could see it, read it, have it tattooed on, written on my refrigerator and so forth. Anyway, I wanted to just say that because it's important.
It's a beautiful thing to say. Yeah, it's Karen. It's your mic now, honey.
Yeah, that is beautiful. I love that, Myrna. I love what everyone's sharing tonight. Everything is so amazing. And there's so much that was said. One thing I just want to say for me personally, my personal experience is, everybody knows I'm going through this physical stuff, and like there are people in the course that are friends, okay, who don't want to see, my x-ray, okay. And it's like, to me, that is being insensitive, okay, when I'm sharing about something that's going on with me that I'm going through. But I don't know why I'm so emotional. I've been so emotional today. But like to me, it's the same thing as if they're showing me a picture of their dog or their child or their house. What is the difference? There is no hierarchy of illusions, but they're pretending your body's not real. So, well, like it drives me crazy and it makes me feel really, I don't know. It just makes me feel like I can't think of the word I want to say right now because I don't want to say the wrong word, but it doesn't make me feel good. Okay. And that's not being normal to me. That is just not being normal. When Ken says be normal, it's like he said, they go to the funeral and they pop champagne and they wear bright clothes and, like nothing happened, like you meet people where they are. And so, when he said that metaphysically, people want to be metaphysically correct. And he said, you're not speaking the language of people that want your help or people that you claim to love. That's not helpful. So there's a place in the manual, in manual 26, healing, I forget the section. I think it's Can God Be Reached Directly? But he says, if you would be heard by those who suffer, you must speak their language. You must speak their language, and it's like a child. You bend down to a child to their level to talk to them. They're small. They need you to go to their level, and that's the same thing. It's like, so that I don't get it. I just don't get it, but I don't try to figure it out. I just know it does bother me. I have to tell you, it bothers me because I couldn't do that. Like I can't be that. So I just have to say, okay, whatever, like that's just the way some people are and just get over it, but that's just
in disguise, right? They're in their ego. They're definitely in their ego if they can't see that that's separating, because everything here that's form is the same. It's form, period.
Exactly.
This is the nonsense that I don't like. That's all.
I mean,
I don't even understand it, but it's fear. See, if we see it as it really is, it's fear. It's not done on purpose. It's fear of being known, like, as whatever, real.
It's just, it is, exactly. It's fear. And and like you said earlier, you said this course is confusing. It can be
It is.
confusing and they're not sure. They think that's the right thing to do, and like, that's not the most loving thing to do. It's just not, but I'll just leave it at that. Regis.
But I
Yeah,
agree with you.
it's amazing. It's because as like to say I don't want to see your X-ray would be the same as uh, if your friend or relative was pregnant and they want to show you their sonogram. You want to see the baby? Yeah. Or your sibling or your child became a great NFL football player. He bought you a house. And you want to see my house? Oh no, I don't want to see your house. That's not real. That's it's like that's all the world. It doesn't mean anything anyway. Your son bought you a house. I mean, so it's like that's why we have to understand that the ego thought system is always differentiating. That's never spirit. That's why you always hear me talking about, we say this is spiritual and this is not, and this is this and this is this. It's all of that is ego. That's differentiating between one thing over the other. I'm reminded of when this song came out some years ago, and it got so out of hand that a lot of leaders, spiritual teachers, had to start speaking out publicly because this song, Don't Worry, Be Happy, people just used that for their inner guide with no thought, with no consideration of what was going on. You present an issue or something going on, they're like, don't worry, be happy. It's like, if people had to start like, listen, folks, wait a minute now, you're being insensitive. My house just burned down. I'm still picking through the rubble. Don't,
It's like
and you show
yes.
up talking about don't worry, be happy. It's like it's just kind of like what human egos thought system do. Is why the name of this evening it hit me so strong today when Dove said it in the earlier meeting today. Well, Dove reminded us, well, tonight is about finding your inner guide. I'm like, ding dong, that's it. You know,
I just think this is the best group because I always felt that, Gather was like family to me. Because I lived here by myself before I met my husband, and it's come back even better because we're all on the same page. That's what I'm seeing. I mean, I hope I'm not acting like I'm leading this meeting. I think I am, but whatever. Regis, you are an amazing speaker. I'm not trying to become best friends with you because we're brother and sisters, but I'm telling you the truth. You blow me away when you say things. And you know what? I'm supposed to be here to be blown away. So thank you, Lorian.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Great sharing. Karen, I'm really sorry that was your experience, and it's totally insensitive and unkind. When we look at it, it's about them. It's not about you. It's bringing up their fear, maybe their fear of vulnerability or mortality or whatever it is, that then's being projected onto you. And of course, they didn't ask what was the loving thing to do, because they wouldn't have done that. So it turns into a call for love on their part. Also, I think we come to that recognition, because I know I've had this also, where people are afraid of it. They're afraid of the illness. They're afraid of the mortality, really is what it comes down to. So they project and back away. But I think the lesson for me was, with people reacting that way, that it's the love of God that sustains me, not somebody's judgment of what they think or what's going on with them. And it is nice to be validated and accepted. And that's why we go to circles like this where that is the case. But ultimately, if somebody's saying that, it's really not about us. It's about them and their fear and their projection. So thanks.
Thank you, Glorian. And I just want to reiterate what Myrna said, because it doesn't matter what you say as long as you say it without judgment. And I would just add to that, what I also remember Ken saying about that is, looking through the eyes of peace, and Regis mentioned peace, and the motivation and attaining the keeping of peace is what the goal is here. And that is also teaching peace. Teaching peace means that I'm not going to allow these things to really affect me. I want to learn I really want to learn to be at peace, and that's the goal. No matter what someone's saying to me, or no matter what I do, even if I do something like I was sharing earlier that I felt embarrassed about, or, like I really screwed up. And what Sharon shared from Myrna's favorite lesson 93, he says, if you think if anyone could see the truth about you, he would be repelled, recoiling from you like a poisonous snake. That's what you were talking about earlier, Sharon. And that's what, the ego wants you to believe about yourself,
Yeah,
but when
that's the story the ego made up for all of us. Yeah.
if I'm allowing someone to upset me, it's because I'm not feeling really good
Right.
about myself. If I felt really like I was, totally one with God, why would I care what that person said? So I want to learn to be at peace and to teach peace and to not allow anything to affect me. And he tells us true denial is not allowing anything other than God to affect you. And that takes a lot of practice, to do that. But peace is my goal. And for peace to be my goal, I think it's also teaching peace is showing the course is teaching us to show that person that what you said or do to me has no effect on me. I don't need, it doesn't have to have an effect on me, because I am perfect, whole, and complete. And no matter what you say to me, it can't hurt me, and I'm not always there, and that is something that I like to strive for, and to notice when I don't. So that, Regis, is part of how I think peace is.
That's exactly, and he was like, all of you were the Holy Spirit for me tonight, I have to say. And now, John, because what Regis was saying was something a friend said to me earlier about, I think we were just talking in general, it was a course person, and it just basically that this person said, I don't use the book. I already talked to the Holy Spirit. And I was like, and then I came in tonight and you said it, and I'm like, that's a message for me from Spirit, because that's what I don't do. I have a lot of peace through the day, but if I keep going to the character for, anything, you're back in hell, because somehow the hell seeps in. I don't stay there long, but it's just silly now at this point. So take my inner comforter with me. And John, it's your turn.
Hi, this is an interesting discussion we're having with everybody today. And before we go any further, I'd just like to just acknowledge what you said, Karen, about the war going on inside. It's an inside job, that we're facing. It's a condition, and each one of us is impacted with this. And so basically, I think just to acknowledge that, and I may want the peace of God till the cows come home, but I still got to deal with this conflict that's inside of me. That's what the issue is about Plato and the people in the cave. But it's also the issue. It's also the issue about what Moses brought to us, because Moses brought to us a beautiful story. And I'm not telling you relative to spiritual, like what Ken Wapnick was saying, and non-duality versus duality. I'm not going to throw 136 at you or anything like that. Just from a simple physical point of view. I'm looking at things in a different way, from a different angle, and I just like to offer my perspective on this conversation, because basically we're all living in a psychological and neurological upset, each one of us. Angry, egocentric, and alienated. We're alienated from ourselves. But it goes back to Moses' story, what Eve did, and Eve offered and tempted, and the other guy, Adam, took it, and we're up to the races. And this happened a long time ago. This is the story and Moses and and Plato and Christ are maybe the three cleanest people on the planet that we have a record of. There's maybe others, but we know they were pretty darn clean. So they're offering us these metaphors for us. The problem is that that we simply became egocentric, angry, and alienated at that point, and we lost the innocence that we're longing to get back to. You want to get back to peaceful, harmonious, loving, cooperative, and selflessness? Sure you do. That's where we came from. How the hell are we going to do it? First thing is we've got to recognize what the gig is, and the gig is the cause of the conflict is that original conscious mind conflict. The conflict that the conscious mind has, but essentially with the subconscious or the genetically programmed mind. The perfect condition we were in, the state of grace, the original state, psychosis free, peacefully harmonious. We were having this experience, but it's lost. We have to get back there. And the thing is, we're just gonna have to face it. We don't want to go there. We want to be like in that cave. Somebody comes to tell you the story, we'll kill them. We'll kill them. We'll crucify them. We won't allow them. We don't want. We need to know that we're committed. That, like Ken said at the very end, got to be willing to look at this stuff. Take a deep dive. Look, see how egocentric and angry and alienated I am myself. So when I heard you say that, and you openly admit, the difficulties that we all face with this. This is one of the tools that I learned is that we can use is forgiveness. There's others, but that's a pretty powerful tool that we do have. That's our first step. But just to face the fact that we do have access to in our neurology, we have as human beings, and there isn't a single human being that's exempt from this, a single one. And it's been this way for 2 million years, not one. This is the cause between the friction between men and women. That's when it started. You think there's friction between races and different people like that? Sure there is. Just look at the news. And it all goes back to this alienation, egocentric, angry people that each one of us has a memory of. And we're trying to undo this situation. So this is where I'm at with this. So in all humility, I'm saying that whatever steps you take, there's physical steps here too to let go of this stuff and recognize this. Even physically, we have. I don't have to jump into another dimensions or anything. There's a possibility that we can get to the light that travel in the light, get out that cave. There is a possibility, and you're saying your willingness to do that is monumental. Anyway, that's kind of a long speech from John, so I'll just leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, John. I have to go because while you were talking, my son called me, and so I just want to thank everybody I hope I didn't did I give you enough time, Karen?
No, this was really for you, Sharon. Thank you. This was absolutely for you.
Thanks, John. Thanks,
You did
John,
great.
again.
Thank you. You
All
did
right.
great.
All right. See you tomorrow.
Sharon,
Tomorrow we're off.
Paul.
Okay. Goodbye.
Yeah, this has been wonderful.
I'm taking Spirit with me now. Bye, Brooklyn.
Very good. All right, you guys, I love you all. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, everyone who shared.
Thanks, everyone.
I was gonna be mentioning, I was gonna ask Rafi. Let me go